I will never give you up. The Strait of Hormuz must be shut. Blockade, blockade. In my head, just blockade.
Blockade.
Please let the ships go through. Come on, at least a few. If you block me, then I block you. Blockade, blockade. I thought this was easy peasy.
All right, welcome to the show.
Blockade. I think he's talking about giving fellatio to a fish.
Is that what that's called?
Blockade to blow
to blow. Oh, I get it now.
bumps.
Yeah, nice, excellent, excellent. Yes,
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny, man. In anticipation of us doing this, sometimes I just start like diving into all these different takes on what's going on, and then like today, sometimes I just find myself like so confused.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I like just get it all and it clicks, or I get most of it, and then sometimes I'm just like so fucking confused. And right now, that's kind of where I'm at.
Nice. Cool.
Like, and I just wanted to go into some of why I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So all right. So I've heard this before, and then I heard Catherine Austin Fitts say it on a clip earlier today, but she said it a few days ago, I think, which is that like Iran didn't close down the Straits of Hormuz. Lloyd's of London did, because they basically they said, all right, well, we're not going to insure the ships. And that's basically what effectively blockaded it.
Okay.
They're like, we're not going to insure the ships. So now like no one's going to go and bring their tankers in there because they can't get insurance, and they're not going to do it if it's not insured.
Yeah.
So that mixed with, I started listening to a bunch more of that Jason Jorjani guy yesterday.
Yeah, I've got his clips up here. Yes.
Okay. So I was really digging his alien stuff.
Yes.
But then I listened to, I guess like 3 or 4 months ago, he was on the Derp with Kerp show.
Okay.
And in that, I was like digging the alien stuff, and then towards the very end, I really should have sent you these things so you could have heard it and then have your own take on it. But he was basically like, at some point he was going into the very end of it, like with like 10 or so minutes left in the interview. It's like, let's say it's an hour and 40-minute interview, give or take, and like an hour and a half into it, he just kind of drops in there that he has been part of some group that has been working with the elements within Iran that are trying to get rid of the Iranian regime. And I'm just like, what? Because now, this starts touching on where I get kind of confused, because it's not necessarily that I'm such a fan of Iran, as much as I view Iran as like a country that the Anglo-American Empire has fucked with for like over 120 years. And so just like any country that we've been the empire's been fucking with, I guess my heart goes out to them, and I feel like most of what we're going to hear about them is going to be negative. And so when I hear but things more exist in the gray zone than the black and white zone. And remember, the lies are all piled on top of each other, so it's really hard to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah.
And when someone starts talking about how they are working with elements within Iran to overthrow the government of Iran, I'm like, all right, like this starts, my radar starts dinging,
Mm-hmm.
to be suspicious or,
Mm.
and I was kind of surprised uh, that good. How you doing? I was kind of surprised that Kurt Metzger didn't be like, wait, rewind, go into that more. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
more about
Mm-hmm.
that because whenever I hear, just like when someone was like, I really don't like Saddam Hussein, it's like, yeah, it's not that I like Saddam Hussein so much as that clearly we want to, our oligarchs want to overthrow Saddam, wanted to overthrow Saddam. So whenever people start, on cue, start going on about Saddam, it makes me suspicious. So this makes me suspicious in that way. But see, this is interesting, and he was saying that between 77 and 79, basically, British intelligence they engineered the revolution in Iran or played some major part in it,
Mm-hmm.
which I've heard others say.
Yeah.
And I guess I just haven't looked deeply enough into it because again, so like there's that Meowlin guy that talks about how Switzerland is such a big part of it, which to me that totally tracks.
Yes.
Um, Thinking that instead of just the politicians are uh, the main culprits of the evil in the world, it's like no, it's the money and the oligarchs and Wall Street, for example, behind Washington D.C. Like Wall Street has the power over D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And City of London, which I've talked about with you, was kind of like the original Wall Street, and Wall Street to some extent was an extension of the City of London. Um, and and basically, so I do think a lot goes back to Switzerland, the City of London, Wall Street, and the oligarchs, the banking families and dynasties and the Epstein class, and I feel like that is where most roads eventually lead to or go back to. And so to me, it would make sense. Or, well, I guess I was confused because it's like, well, the British Empire was the one that really, they got the CIA to get involved to overthrow Mossadegh in 53
Mm-hmm.
and install the Shah, who was a dictator,
Mm-hmm.
who, if you ask the people that focus on how what a westernized country Iran was when the Shah was there, a lot of times those are the people that were well off and came from money or and had money and it worked well for them, even though it was like a foreign empire that was really stealing all of their real wealth,
Mm-hmm.
their oil, and shipping it abroad. And uh, the wealthy families that were there were, of course, profiting from that. And the people that benefited from that most. So they did not want that to change. So, of course, they're upset when uh, the Shah gets removed.
Mm-hmm.
But, and, right, then the Shah's, whatever, son or grandson now was being
Yes.
considered as one of the replacements, uh, which was like, God, that seems fucking tone deaf as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
why would you go back? Why can't you just get anyone else other
Mm-hmm.
than you're like, why are you wheeling that guy out there?
Yeah.
And the Tom Longos, would say, well, that's what City of London wants, uh, or something to that effect, probably. Um, and what this is an infight between the American wing of the oligarchs and the British, City of London. And so the Tom Longos of the world view this as getting rid of, which again, remember, like the New World Order, the original old New World Order was about getting rid of the monarchs, or undermining the power of the monarchs and the church, which were the old world order, and putting the power in the place of an oligarch class that would set up a more economically viable form of empire, a rebranded empire that you basically call democracy and self-determination, that, kind of, it goes along with the satanic principle of, you all chose this, you all agreed to these terms, you voted for it. So
Right.
it's not like someone imposed their will on you, even though they kind of did. You voted for it, you chose it, you invited the vampire into your house, removing your powers over the vampire. And so, but so it seems like, and that, seeing that so so again, it seems like there's some sort of infight going on within the oligarch classes, that no matter how it shakes out, they just have to have narratives for the masses to swallow. So they go along with it and don't get too upset. And so, because when this guy, Jason Jorjani, is saying, we have to get rid of the Iranian regime, and, there are these religious fanatics, and, which to me just starts to, and again, I'm not saying it's not necessarily true, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
And I've always heard that, but I've always been suspicious of that, because that sounds like that's always been such a talking point of, like, the neocons who want to get rid of the mullahs, as they love to say, the mullahs, And, I just talked to my dad last week, and he was going on about, some section of the Shia Muslims, that in their writings, they say they have to get rid of and kill all non-Shias. To which I was like, come on, Dad. I was like, if you can selectively take passages of the Christian holy books or the Jewish holy books and say, hey, look at these terrible things that they said.
Yes.
And that justifies they can kill all people who aren't part of their group. But to my dad, this is like a very, this is something that's a very, like, emotionally potent narrative for him, that he sinks his teeth into, and he's like, and they want to kill Jews, so kill them, and replace them. And that's, whereas if someone said, well, we should hurt Jews because look at these things that they say in the Talmud,
Right.
I would be like, okay, on some level, I get it that you might feel that way. On another level, it's like, well, like, now it starts getting into, not just like, okay, well, they're committing a genocide to the Palestinians. Like, that's not anti-Semitic, even though they claim, if you say it's a genocide, they try to say, but it's like, no, if you say these people are Jewish and you don't understand that Jews just hate Christians, so they just are secretly satanic and secretly want to kill Christians and Muslims, so we have to kill the Jews. That's when it's like, to me, I start going, and so when my dad says shit like that, or Jason Jorjani starts saying these things, I start going like, and makes me go, what's going on here? Even though I know there are ways I'm just so ignorant about this subject that I really couldn't push back that's not as substantively as I would like to.
Right.
And so I get confused, and I'm like, I'm in this place of ignorance, or middling ignorance, where I just really don't know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And and that robs me of a, there's so much uncertainty and doom and peril. But like one of the few things I have is I have like a vague idea of what's really going on. And then when I'm confused, I'm robbed of that last one of those final bits of,
Mm,
security, or even if
yeah.
it's a false security.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what's going on? It's like, why? And kind of like how I told you, we've talked about like, say, Brett Weinstein um, and even though I like him, it just these people that became very well known as COVID dissidents, and then they were like, I don't understand this term, the woke right. And it's like, come on, Brett, how do you not get that? Like, you can understand these really complex things. Just like my dad, there's some things that he can, really complex scientific concepts, he can lay out and describe in a way that not many people can. But then when it comes to Israel, it's all of a sudden, it's like, well, the people that are against Israel are just anti-Semites, and there's no difference between being against Zionism and being against Judaism. And I'm like, how can you still think that at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that when you were a little boy growing up right after the Holocaust, how you conflate those two. And I understand that, Israel and our media, that a lot of them dominate, like they conflate the two all the time, to the point where I can't really blame whether it's the people that are just love the pro-Jewish side no matter what, or hate the Jewish side no matter what. I can't blame them for conflating the two.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm like, how can such a smart person not see this obvious thing?
Yeah.
And um and I'm just super it's just frustrating and confusing to me that this goes on the way that it does. And yeah, it just makes me feel, and I don't know this for sure, but it's again like that, like that Avi Loeb guy,
Yes.
right? Like that, it's again all these things, or like Matt Taibbi, uh and Michael Tracy and Michael Schellenberger, people who um weren't the greatest COVID dissidents, but they all debunked Russiagate. They and to debunk Russiagate from a non-right wing perspective,
Mm.
and to call questions on COVID. Like Taibbi was someone that up until, but then once the Epstein files come out and the genocide in Gaza, like all of a sudden Matt Taibbi silent on the genocide in Gaza. And um and I know, like, whatever, when he was uh, hired by Elon Musk, remember, to investigate and look through a lot of the files about the censorship through Twitter under previous management. Then when Taibbi was gonna go testify to Congress, his house got raided
Mm.
like that morning, and it was just so obvious. And so I'm just saying, just like the Alex Jones thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, these are all flawed human beings who, they got, and now they're compromised, or pressures and coercion is being applied to them. So, right. So now you kind of can't fully blame them for taking a certain public stance on things that seems contradictory to what, it's like Alex Jones with the Charlie Kirk stuff. It's like, why can't you just answer this question? And he's like, no, Candace Owens is right that ice melts at, whatever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's like, dude, come on, how do you not understand? Like, why you can understand all this other, but here you're just like selectively, willfully ignorant. And it's
Yeah.
strange, but we can be like, oh, well, he got sued and now he owes a billion or $1 trillion or whatever it is. And so, yeah, they fucking got him. And he's trying to, I don't know, establish, like, no, I'm against Trump now. And I regret, and Trump, what's going on? And, or where Trump is coming out and clearly they're picking up on that. Wow, like MAGA is so disgusted with Trump because they feel like Netanyahu and Israel own him. And so Trump comes out and does this, public thing where he rebukes Netanyahu. And then right, and then Netanyahu does a very public response where he's like quote unquote shocked. So like it's such a screen, like a staged thing where it's like, oh, we gotta prove to MAGA that that we don't own you. So you come out and rebuke us, and then we come out right on cue and be like, we're shocked. Our monocle has fallen out. How could this have happened? But now we've let everybody know, you see, we don't really own you. You're your own independent man. And it's like, dude, who the fuck is falling for this shit? But if you don't fall for, if you don't fall for it, like that, like Florida college student who just like got arrested, right, for like making fun of Netanyahu.
Yep.
Matt Taibbi's place got raided, so I can kind of understand why all of a sudden he is kind of like, well, the Epstein files, there's nothing there. This is all just wild, crazy conspiracy theory. And him and Michael Tracy are, on camera eating pizza and drinking grape soda, like, ha ha ha. You see, I guess we're in on it too, guys. And Michael Schellenberger going on like Rogan and having like this take that went viral about how there's nothing to see there with Epstein and and it's like, and so this Jorjani guy it almost just like it rhymed with this in a way. It's like they always have some sort of, oh, and then I just throw in this thing that it's like, oh, I'm in favor of what the regime, of our desire to overthrow Iran. And it's just like all of these people just having this weird, commonality. And I don't know. I guess it's a little confusing, and especially with the city of London aspect of this is like, is there really an attempt to and not that and so I think someone like Tom Longo is like, no, Trump is playing 5D chess, and I just can't get with that. And although I do think that there might be something there to that extent, not necessarily that Trump is playing 5D chess as much as that powers much greater than Trump have decided this is how things are going to go. And we need to give the appearance of these things. And first,
we treat the president like they like sit in a room by themselves and like write down like on a legal pad like what they're going to do or something. Like it's all their idea. They're the only ones who did it or something. It's crazy. But of course, it's so that we can have someone to blame. We don't have to look behind. It's the wizard or the illusion or the whatever, and we can blame that guy and not have to worry about, wait, who are all the advisors? Who are the people who actually came up with this plan? Who came up with like the legal, who you're going to challenge and what laws you're going to try and change, and because it wasn't him,
right?
But yeah, no, that and the switcherooski. That becomes possible. It's like, like Tucker Carlson or somebody. It's like, I support Trump. He's great. Oh, okay. Trump is losing popularity. Like, okay, I regret that. On to the next guy. On to the next thing. It's like, oh, we can throw. It's like we can throw this toy away, and we can now get the next toy now. Yeah. And everybody kind of wants that.
Yeah.
Like, let's just move on to the next thing. Like, we'll get rid of Pam Bondi and move on to the next guy, and then if we don't like them, which is going to take a while, it's going to take a few months for enough dumbass shit to happen. And then you just keep rinsing and repeating. Oh, throw that guy out. He's dumb.
Right. And all this like this stuff that like Maduro was like either CIA or MI6, and it's it seems like there's something there. That's what like Professor Zhang says, and I've heard others say that. and that the Ayatollah was really, backed by the British, the City of London, because in part they want to keep it like a theocracy so that they won't develop in certain ways because that goes against their religion, so they won't modernize and progress and advance their technology and weaponry and blah blah blah. All the shit, like, and honestly, like, so much of it, I guess, it's just feels like theater, just
Yes.
things that are happening in the public sphere, to just be like, well, okay, I guess, like, Trump is gonna go and overthrow them, and then it's like, whoa, it didn't go as planned, and it's like most of the analysts I listen to are more just analyzing what's happening instead of from a more, I guess, I don't know, conspiratorial lens where you're like, this is theater, and much of this is theater, and so, like, and I was listening to that Simon Dixon guy more, and he was, going and continuing on about how, look, much of this has already been settled and negotiated, and this is the global reset. This is COVID 2.0, which I really do think there's a lot of truth to that this is going to be this type of reset, where, the global energy infrastructure is going to be altered now dramatically. And this is going to potentially be, like, global famines coming, for much of the world. And, they're not going to have access to energy in the way that they've had, for a long time. It's just, it's and it makes sense that it's like, yeah, they've pretty much stated in various ways that the population control is something they want to do, and they want to get rid of lots of people. They want to just take, take one thing after another away until, all people, it's just like, well, these people are all just going to die now because they don't have, with the dialysis machines won't be working. And so a lot of people who needed dialysis machines are just going to die now, and then all these people, they got kicked out of their homes in the 2008 subprime. Now there's just hordes of homeless people all over the country, and that's just the way it is. And you feel bad, you give them a few bucks, but then you move on with your life. And this is just the reality now. And there's just going to be more and more homeless people. And eventually a lot of us are going to be the homeless people too, or the dead people too. And that's why part where I sent you that thing about the, that Nobel physicist saying in, like, what, 35 years, there's going to be some sort of nuclear holocaust or whatever, which rhymed with or tracked with kind of what Jack Cruz was saying, but from a different angle. And I don't know, I guess I'm just a lot of things swirling around that it's hard to make sense of, other than, it seems like the Epstein class has been exposed, and now they're just going to release a bunch of tripwires, and kind of Samson options to self, I don't know. You ever see that movie, Enemy of the State?
Sure.
And then when Will Smith is at, what's his name? The main guy.
I know who you're talking about. Sure.
Yeah, Lex Luthor, or Royal Tenenbaum. Gene Hackman. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he's at Gene Hackman's, and then they're like, "Whoa, shit! They're coming at my place, you fucker, Will Smith, you bastard! Now they're coming to my place, that I've hid away from them forever, and now you brought them to me." And then he just presses a button or does whatever, and then the whole place just, like, self-destructs.
Sure.
And it's like, it feels like, in a way, that's part of what they're doing, is they're just doing the self-destruct thing, where a lot of the shit that their fingerprints are all over is just going to self-destruct. Like
Yeah,
if we
because if
don't,
you're smart, you're gonna have a guess of when your scam is gonna be up. You
right?
know, like you have a limited time. If you're
Yeah.
scamming a horse race, then you've got while the horse race is going, and then at a certain point the horse race is over, and then you want to get your profits and
Hmm.
and get the fuck out of there. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Exactly. You know, get the fuck out of
Yeah.
Dodge.
So they had to have known it would have started to become obvious at some point. And if you're actually good at thinking in the future, then you have to plan for that anyway. Like, what are we going to do when this chapter
Right.
ends? When this phase
Right.
is over, what's the next phase? And then
Right.
when that phase is over, what's the next phase beyond that? And okay, well,
Yes.
there's one or two of things that will happen. Okay, well, in that case, we'll do this. In case B, then we'll do this. Yeah, you would
Hmm.
absolutely want to. Uh,
Contingency plans.
Absolutely, of course.
Hmm. Exactly. And so that's what it feels like. What's going on is like this is like one phase of contingency plan,
Mm-hmm.
and but it does feel like, yeah, you know. And again, I so did you see like the Palantir manifesto?
Yes.
Right. So like they're starting to release that shit, right? Like it's like they're getting bolder. Like part of the thing with the Epstein releases is, dude, now you all know. Anyone who wants to know can now know.
Mm-hmm.
You can all go find this shit now if you want. Not conclusive proof, but enough is there that that those of you who have been looking, you should understand more or less what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if
Yes.
you want to find it, you can find it. It's kind of, again, it's like you all agreed to this. Like
Mm-hmm.
we didn't agree to this, but now we all know.
Yeah, if this is what was necessary for American supremacy up until this point or something,
Hmm.
then sorry, that's how we did it.
Hmm.
We got
Yeah.
compromise on people. We blackmailed them. Yeah, that's how we got that's how we won the game. That's how we got the power. Like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
not
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Like, you know, South Park with BP. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we were a business and we were trying to make as
To
much
win.
profit as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, like
Yeah.
what?
Sorry. Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. And it definitely feels that way. And it feels like, and then on top of it, you know, you add in the dead scientist thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is a narrative like Steph yesterday was like, so what's going on with all these scientists? You know, so it's like, and she pays no attention to the
Mm-hmm.
world and the
Mm-hmm.
media. So somehow that's trickling down to her.
Yeah.
And then I heard her on the phone with her mom, and she like brought it up, and her mom had like no idea about this. Like because her mom's like a New York Times person, you know?
Right.
And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, like the New York Times is still like for those people that are still, you know, who think it's the 1980s all the time, you know.
Well, yeah, I'm sure probably every newspaper or media outlet kind of targets a very specific, has a main population, a main age, a main population
Hmm.
that is looking at that, you know,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be that bell curve thing. It's gonna be mostly a certain type of person. You'll get
Yeah,
a
certain
few other random ones, but
demographic.
it's gonna be a certain amount.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and you know, and I guess like myself, I haven't paid as much attention to the alien stuff. Like it hasn't been as like the main part of my focus for a while.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And um and I guess that, you know, this stuff, it does seem like these scientists, like there's something there that,
Yes.
you know, it seems like whatever. I don't, and again, like when you listen to Jorjani talk about it, it could be aliens or it could just whatever be humans from the future. And that Eskridge one, you know, that girl that
Yeah.
died, right? She was talking about whatever the P-52s and the
Mm-hmm.
right and
Yep.
right, and
That's
it's
from
just,
Burrish, Dan Burrish.
oh, I
And
remember you telling me about
yeah,
them years ago.
she comes across. And look, I'm super into this stuff, but
Yeah.
her texts and her interviews give me a weird feeling as
Right?
a therapist.
Right?
There's something little extra going on there. But like McCasland, I think that guy disappearing, he was a big fucking deal. There's a few people in there that are big fucking deals. She was a little bit more on the fringe.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, these people now with some of them, we don't know they disappeared. We don't know if they're dead. We know they ain't there anymore.
Yeah.
And something I saw, which I thought was just an interesting idea, was that maybe they're being secured. Maybe they're being taken. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
We need to take you and secure you at a military installation.
Yep.
It's time, right? Because that's more like witness protection style.
Could be.
Shit
I think
going
very
down.
interesting. Yeah.
And that if part of the probably right, my mind wants to make it side one and side two, but if there's this kind of battle going on behind the scenes with a variety of different armies, that in this case, you've got at some point in the 40s or 50s or something, we started spreading out this information, this advanced technology, not only within our own military, but to private defense contractors. And now you've gotten to a point where that relationship has become oppositional because of, I could come up with a bazillion reasons, but probably it's going to be money related. Like I'm a defense contractor. We've developed this technology behind the scenes. We can tell that this is worth billions, if not trillions of dollars. So we want to be in charge, or you're going to release it, or you're developing the same technology. No, we're going to use our private army. All those, because now there's all the private armies you can just hire. So it seems like there's private army versus American government army that happens. And you see that in the Michael Herrera interview, where he's in the normal military and they come across the black budget military, and those motherfuckers are better equipped than them with technology that they didn't fucking have. He talks about them having a scanner where they could scan their faces or their IDs and know everything about them right away, stuff like that. So that there was a contentious vibe, obvious contentious vibe, like we may have to kill you guys for stumbling upon this scene, meaning that the black budget military side is just so much more powerful and ruthless than what we all know as like the army and the Marines and the Navy or some shit like that. And that the only reason they're going to get away with that is because it's protecting national security. Once you invoke that, you can imprison or kill. And it's totally fine. It's right there in the law. You broke national security, we can imprison or kill you right now. Fuck the courts, fuck whatever. So I can imagine there being, with this level of technology on the line, I can imagine a bazillion different reasons: money, your own personal beliefs, the indigestible truth type thing, that perhaps once this becomes common knowledge, you accelerate some kind of timeline. If there is some kind of extinction event, if you don't want the extinction event to happen, if you don't, then you're going to try and do everything you can to keep that from happening. And if that's related to some type of technological advancement or some type of information being released, then you would stop that at any cost. Even from the outside, it would seem to us like, why are you stopping this? It's like, well, because as soon as this releases, half of the world's going to get blown up, or that's what I've been told, or we looked into the future, or these are time travelers and they fucking told us. These are humans from the future coming back to try and tell us, don't release this shit. Don't do this. Stop. We're trying to change the fucking timeline. It may seem like we're slowing things down or not allowing things to progress, but we have a good fucking reason for it. I'm sure everybody has a good fucking reason for it. It's just whether I'd agree it's a good reason. If it's for money or something like that, no, fuck that. But if you're actually trying to like protect the Earth from being destroyed, okay, cool. Like,
yeah.
cool. I didn't realize it was that serious. Like, all right.
Which maybe that's the real reason they just, out of the goodness of their hearts, want to protect us.
I'm sure there are some of those people. I'm sure there are some of those people in those realms, in those businesses, in those, you know, I think people can make a decision whether or not they want to try to destroy life or not. But probably as you get higher and higher up in terms of power or control, the sociopath and psychopathic traits are going to actually make you way better at those jobs.
The
CEO rate of sociopath or psychopath, it's like 10 times that of the general population. You're ruthless. Everything's fair in love and war and business. You know, it's like, or war is business, or business is war, or something, right? Then whatever. Kill your competitors. Like, just don't get fucking caught. Don't let your stock price go down or some shit, you know?
And if you get caught, then you will have to be replaced by someone else because you don't want to bring down the company just with your bad name.
Exactly. And are you fine with that? Yes, of course. Because if I succeed, which we usually do, I'm going to get a giant fucking bonus and it's going to be fucking sick.
Yeah. And if I'm the one who the musical chairs game, the music stops, and I'm the one who gets caught, okay, I might have a slap on the wrist. I might get punished. I might be the one, like whether you're Epstein or whether you're, who are some others that, you know, whatever, people that have been very infamous for their role in terrible things, but or like Oliver North. I don't know if you remember, right? Oliver North was the guy who was like the Lee Harvey Oswald of, except he was part of it, you know, of Iran Contra. It was all about him, you know, and then some years go by and the next thing you know, the guy's on Fox News and now he's hired by them and he's making lots of money. And it's like, wait, Oliver North? That guy? He's back?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, just give it enough time.
I know. No, he's really useful.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy's useful.
Yeah. And it's like, what's going on? And it's like, that's why I said, are you ever seen Breaking Bad?
Sure, of course.
Okay, so remember when like Mike?
Sure.
So remember when Mike is like, he's gotta take care of his people, right? He's got his people, Mike, right? His people who also used to be ex-law enforcement, who now know how to, you know, and they have their own little crew, basically. And when one of his crew members gets busted, he's got to go and, you know, talk to that crew member who's in jail or whatever, and let them know, like, don't worry, I'm not abandoning you. I am taking care of you and your family. They will all be taken care of, you know? And so, and if you do it the right way like that, then the people will stick with you and they'll be like, all right, I guess I've got to be in jail for a little bit, but my family will be taken care of. And you know what I'm saying? So in that similar way, if you want to run a crew or an organization in the illegal or, you know, criminal network, then either they have to know they either can't speak out against you because, you know, they will kill you or kill the people you love, or don't worry, they will take care of you in the end. That you might have to get a slap on the wrist, you might have to go to jail for a little bit, but don't worry, we know people in that jail. We'll send you to the certain jail that we know people, and we'll get you out. You know, like the Epstein thing, like we'll get you
then
in
we'll
there.
switch you out.
Exactly. You know, and you have to let everybody know we can switch you out. Even the most high-profile criminal in the world that everyone's watching, we can have you switched out and disappeared, and everyone think you're dead, and get away with it. And then maybe like 7 years later, all of a sudden people will be like, wait, is he really dead? But it'll be 7 years later, so it's too fucking late, you know? And that's, I'm just saying, right? So you have to let people know that either A, you will kill them if you don't cooperate or aren't loyal, and that they will take care of you, you know? So don't worry, right? It's the carrot and the stick. but you have a bigger carrot and a bigger stick than anyone else. So don't worry. We're so connected and we're so deeply ingrained in everything that there's nowhere they can take you where we can't help you. And so it seems like, and that's where it comes to like Whitney Webb or Jack Cruz or whoever. It's like, what, you're telling me they can't get Jack Cruz or Whitney Webb? Like, right? Doesn't it make you just at least a little bit go, Even though I do feel like they're both good actors, not bad actors, it still makes you go, right? I mean, certainly Whitney Webb to some extent. At least Jack Cruz, almost nobody knows him, and he has almost very little impact. The way like Whitney Webb now, it's like she's not like fully mainstream, but she's kind of big now.
Relatively well known.
Yeah, relatively well known. Like she goes on channels and podcasts and YouTube shows that are, only a couple of years ago she was not invited on that. Now it's like she's big, and I think it's because the Epstein stuff got so much bigger and became so much in the public eye, and she's one of the foremost experts on it. So it makes sense that she would get more publicity alongside that. But I'm just saying, like, I still like Whitney Webb a lot, but it's still one of those things that you and I have talked about where we're
of course,
it's weird.
No,
it's
truly,
weird.
how is she still alive?
Yeah.
And does that either call into question what she's saying? Does it, meaning she is purposely not telling the truth? Or she is telling the truth as far as she knows it, but there's enough holes in her understanding that it's not actually compromising.
Right.
Or is it, I mean, to me, if the kind of darker part is true, then it actually benefits you to release the information at a certain rate, whatever that, and that rate means you still are in control. That you release the information at a certain rate to just get it out there, because like kind of the South Park take on the 9/11 conspiracy thing, it's really helpful for people to believe that the government can do these conspiracies and stuff like that, because it ups their reputation, ups their rep. It's like, don't fuck with them. So yeah, if you can release at a certain rate the information about Epstein and grape and eating beef jerky and stuff like that, and nothing happens, then to me, just the casual observer over here goes, holy shit, these people are doing this stuff and they're getting no consequence for it. Wow, they really are that powerful. Don't fuck with them. And it's kind of like a warning. It's kind of like, we did all this shit, and and I still own my island. So do you think you got like a chance against me or not? Are you still want to try and like pull an Avengers move and go after Thanos and shit? Or are you just gonna kind of let this shit slide? You're gonna let him just let him kill half of the population and just cross your fingers that you're the
living side. Right.
You want to be a hero or not? So I think there's, at some level, saying what you're doing out loud as the more, because otherwise you got to try and keep secrets and you got to blah 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 blah. That's a lot more work than go ahead and tell them the crimes I committed. I own the police force. I own the politicians. Go ahead, see what happens. Watch, you're gonna get thrown in a mental hospital for this. You're gonna get arrested for it. Go ahead, you'll see. Like that, like a dare or something. I did it. So what?
Which is what that Mark Passio guy says that I sent to you. He was on the Dirt with Kerp a month or two ago. He was the guy that was a Satanist, but he might have gone into it in a similar way like you or I might have when we were younger, because he was a guy that was playing like heavy music, and so was into a lot of this dark imagery and dark themes like that, because that's what is chock full of in heavy music, and he just joined it for I'm not really exactly sure why, but not because he wanted to hurt people, because, you know, just like people in metal music, they're like, dude, all right, I'll fucking join this satanic thing. That sounds fun. You know, I'm not into the Christianity and the religion thing.
No, right.
So why not just join the other side and go and have some wild times? And then after a while of being in it, he started, you know, they started sharing things with him, and he was just like, oh my God, this is fucked up. This is not okay. This isn't just, you know, a semi, like a Buddhist adjacent, you know, set of ethics and rules, you know, because like we talked about before, that the tenets of Satanism are very similar with the tenets of Buddhism in a lot of ways. Not like 100% overlapped, but you know, there was
like the really
overlap.
cool, like progressive ones. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there was just more. Yeah. It was more. I'm not saying like the real underbelly and the shit that they're doing darkly. Like, even though there's weird stuff with Buddhism too, or at least examples of Buddhist people, whether it be the Dalai Lama, you know, sucking that kid's tongue, you know, or you know, whatever, or the examples
or all
of
the sex stuff. I mean, there's tons of Buddhist teachers, yoga teachers that then like sexually abuse their students and shit like that. That happens all the fucking time.
Right? Like the Osho guy with the Wild Wild Country, right? And those crazy orgies that they were having.
He didn't do it. He was smart enough to not do that. And but he was he was like the leader. Other people were doing that shit, you know. It's pretty
as far as we know, right? As far as we know.
Well, yeah, but no one's ever
I know.
No one's ever accused it. And during that year when all sorts of shit was going down, that was the year he kept silent for an entire year.
Yeah, yeah. I know. That's what I'm saying.
So fucking good, bro. Right? It's like, shit, my company is going a little nuts. I don't want to get blamed for this later. I'm gonna do a year-long silence, you know.
Yeah, totally.
My secretary's this bitch crazy, you know?
Like, right.
Okay, the only way I'm getting out of this is if everyone says during that year I was silent. I said I did nothing. I said nothing. You know, it's so smart. God damn, he was so smart.
So smart.
It
reminds me of Mr. Burns with the canary. You know,
no. What's the story? What's the story?
Oh, he's like when some scandal happens at the nuclear power plant. Mr. Burns is like, it's okay. He's like, because it's all in the name of the canary. They're like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, I did it a while ago. And like, you know, it's all under like, and he has a canary in a cage. And it's just like, it's all like the ownership is the canary.
Right.
So if things really go wrong, it's on the canary. You know,
right.
So you just made this thing to take the fall. You know, if shit ever really hits the fan,
yes,
it's like you press that contingency button and then it's like, well, you guys just didn't do your homework because you didn't know Mr. Mr. Burns don't really own this. It's the canary owns it.
Right, you know? Exactly, yes.
And that was something that, like, when I was having my breakdown at the beginning of COVID and I was like trying to go through all this shit in my head at times, there were times where I was just like realizing like, fuck, like what can we really do? Because even if we start really getting accurate with like, you know, focusing on the real people that are really doing it and really honing in on all the shit, then why wouldn't, then they must have been spending all these decades and centuries building up tripwires and contingency plans and making it so like the Gene Hackman in Enemy of the State, where it's like, all right, if they really gonna, you know, if they're really gonna descend on my lair, then I'm gonna press that button and just self-destruct it. And so part of me was like, shit, like what can we really do other than just talk about it and just say, hey, look at this, here's this book, and here's these documents, and here are these photographs, and here are these videos and whatever. You know, like this stuff is really going on. It's like, yeah, but what are we really going to do about it? Because if we ever start getting close to them, like, why aren't they just going to burn it all down? You know, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, and unless some other little group within their group just somehow takes it over and works out some sort of transition with them and says, don't worry, like just like Hitler, you guys get out now. You guys go to South America. It's time for us to take over. You did your job. You took it as far as you could take it. And now it's time to burn the shop down, and blame it on the canary. And you guys go very far away. You change the way you look. We have all your shit set up. What's the nickname for that guy in Florida? Like Petersburg Pete or something for Epstein, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. The guy looks kind of similar to him.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, whatever you have, like, Saddam's body double, and you have. I'm just saying, you have this whole thing set up that all of us little people, if we ever start scratching get to the center, it's like, please, we have so many contingency plans. We've been working on this for so fucking long.
Yeah,
we've been doing our due diligence so that if you ever get anywhere near us, it's like we have so many options and you guys have no options. You can just keep on pointing to these documents and these books and these photos and these whatever, but it's okay. I mean, not to mention the whole thing with the idea of literally cloning people. I don't know if you checked out that the Control-Alt history thing I sent you, about the movies, the movies from like the
didn't
70s.
Finish it. I've got it up, but I didn't finish it.
But in it was, because it was talking about these movies that, especially from the 70s, where it touches on a lot of the stuff that are based on real conspiracies. And one of them was talking about the cloning and how they've supposedly been able to clone people going back like whatever 40 or 50 years. And if that's true, and one of the movies was about, they were trying to lure celebrities to their a carnival, the equivalent, whatever, their Epcot Center or whatever, their thing where they want all these people come. And then, or it's like Ghislaine Maxwell, supposedly with those like Swedish men that, her personal assistants, these gorgeous, blonde Aryan men who, whenever like pieces of their or some of their hair were like on the bed, they were like, oh, and they always noticed that the hair was gone shortly after, because they're like taking your material and doing Lord knows what. And so I think like, so most people, once you start trying to talk about, wait, you're telling me they're cloning people, they're making like, or that, and this brings back to the Jorjani stuff about, and it's not just his idea, but it's like maybe they're cloning people and maybe the super wealthy want to have themselves cloned so that, like, let's say something goes wrong with their liver or their lungs or their kidneys and they have the free perfect transplant right there. It's like, why wouldn't you do that if you're, then you hear stories about Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, how they like go away together and he's like, oh, and Peter Thiel's got some giant, enormous, compound and bunker in New Zealand, and they have all these different options all over the world,
right?
And what? So you're telling me they're not going to be cloning themselves to just in case something goes wrong, and so they can get a new lung or kidney or heart or whatever? Like, of course they will. You should assume that they're doing that, and you should assume that they're doing every single thing they can, including, getting everyone's DNA to do whatever the fuck they want with it. And they can even like swap the person out. Like, look, now we have this cloned version of you.
Yeah.
And that's what the world knows. And now it's hard to conclusively prove that any individual is that. Like, and so that's why that whole thing where, remember when all these AI videos were coming out of Netanyahu, and then it was like, he's dead. Is he dead?
Right.
And it was like intriguing. It was, and again, that's why it's like, I think you have to think about the different levels of the operation and that on some level there's someone on the highest of towers that is viewing it, and from a higher perspective than even who we think are the Dr. Fauci's and the Bill Gates who are on the public, in the public, from the public perspective, the ones in charge of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But really, there are people way above them that are monitoring shit, and people like Bill Gates and Fauci just kind of end up coming off as kind of idiots, and
right.
And everyone's like, it's just because of Bill Gates, and so you get a lot of the right wingers that are like, oh, this is all about Bill Gates and Fauci, and it's like, yeah, they were some operators involved in this. They were the ones who have to carry out, just like these negotiations. Israel keeps on killing the negotiators, so they got to send a new negotiating team.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be part of that negotiating team. You want me to go there and probably just get killed for what? For nothing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's why you want to brainwash people to fucking into your ideology to be a true believer that this is for God, or this is for country, or this is for, and it's like, you go and die because I don't want to be the one over there. I don't want to have to clean up the shit. I don't want to have to clean the radioactive vats,
Yeah.
And so you create a system where it's like, now people will more than happy to clean up your radioactive waste, or to dispose of hazardous material, or to go fight and die on be dropped at the beach of Normandy,
Yeah.
And it's like, for what? It's like, for what? It's like, well, if people understood, like, for what? It's just, well, it's basically, you got these trillionaires who have an infight, who are saying, I think we should do option A, and the other is like, we should do option B, and another is saying option C, and they're all doing whatever they can to have it their way, and they're gonna enlist as many people as they can to, like, part of the Palantir fucking manifesto was, yes, we think everyone should serve in the military. It's like going to turn America into Israel.
Yeah. Yes.
Where everyone has to serve. So it's like, now our sons are going to have to go, and then the Democrats are like, no, the Republicans are like, send all the boys, and the Democrats are like, no, that would be sexist. You must send all the women and the trans to do it too. They all have to die for us. It's not just the men.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's like, and what else are you going to do? It's a contract. You all signed this. You had a child born here that was given a birth certificate. That birth certificate is a receipt that we own you.
Yeah.
And you can't travel beyond certain lines without our permission. And if we decide it's time for you to go and fight and die, so that our plan A will be chosen over our rivals' plan B, it's like, well, then that's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of parents, I'm not going to be down with that. You're not going to be down with that. And so it's like, yeah, okay, we'll give you a little bit of exemptions if you really, really want to, or if you're rich enough.
Yeah.
But those who aren't rich enough, like, you're all gonna, like gangs in New York when the Civil War is happening, and then it's like, well, you don't have to necessarily fight and die because you can pay this whatever $500 fee to avoid service in the Civil War, and they're like, well, who the fuck is $500 at that point at 1860?
Right.
It's like, only the super wealthy do. So, oh well, sorry. You just didn't play the game well enough, old chap.
Or if you need money, you can do certain things for it.
Yeah, right? Right. It's this whole, like, the whole thing is like, almost every inch of it is this predatory system that just looks for people that have little to no option.
Right.
And then, so, well, what else are you going to do? Okay, good luck. Good luck with it. Good luck, at working at McDonald's or whatever, or cleaning my shit or cleaning the nuclear waste vats, you know, and don't worry about that. You know, just go ahead and do it. You know, work your way up by the bootstraps.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, and I mean, and then but now we're moving into something where we're all just going to be obsolete, or most of us. It looks like we're going to be obsolete unless we get the Neuralink or something like that. You know, whatever it be, the Neuralink.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I went to my friend's 50th birthdays this past weekend, which was an awesome time. And I was talking to one of them who was like works in finance, and I was like talking about like the Neuralink and like, you know, because he was like, "Oh, are you concerned about, you know, the future with AI?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." You know, I mean, I'm like, I'm sure some people are going to be fine, but a lot of people are going to, I don't know how it's going to play out. And, you know, you're going to have to get the Neuralink at some point. Otherwise, you're going to, you know, be obsolete. And he like didn't even know what the Neuralink was. And I'm like, how are you in finance and you don't even know what Neuralink is?
Yeah.
You know, or how are you in finance and you don't even know what CBDCs are?
Right.
You know, and it's
right.
like, wow, the investor class. Or like my dad, you know, he gets all this, you know, he pays for all this investor like analysis. You know, so he's getting access, he's paying for access to information that you know, only the top 5 or 10% can do, you know.
Yeah.
And that stuff is like, you know, what he tells, it's basically just like the neocon propaganda. It's like everything's going great, you know, and you know, it's all mostly more or less going according to plan. You know, I don't know. It's just amazing to me. Like the one group that the people in finance that should know better, like all they care about is making a quick buck out of things.
Yeah.
And thinking deeply about these things, especially from a moral perspective, they're just like, why would I waste my time?
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a thing to achieve, you know, where the few people that might actually have access to information that might clue them on to this, like they just couldn't care less because it's not a good way to make money. You know, it's a hell of a carrot.
Yes.
And it's only people like us that are trying to make any sense of it. And we just have a flashlight in a dark room.
Yeah. Glad I have a flashlight though.
Yeah. Right. Glad I have a flashlight though.
I'm reading the closed captioning of this video about the movies. It's just super fascinating. I'll finish it before next time. It was awesome. You want to call it here? It's about at 1.
Yeah, we can call it. But yeah, no, I'd like to watch. I have not seen a lot of those movies.
Me either. Those are some old ones.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Maybe that was kind of part of the whole kind of like 3 body problem kind of thing, is like kind of put out the information, you know.
I think so.
That it ends up being a warning to some people. Like, oh crap, these people are in charge and they know what's going to happen, so don't go against them. These people know they're planning, they're determining the moves that are going to happen. Yeah. So don't go against them.
Don't go against that. Like, unless beware, because if you go against them, and that's part of the thing I think about with all these scientists dead or the Epstein releases, is like, that's right. We release this Epstein shit and nothing is happening to us. Maybe like, okay, sorry, Prince Andrew will not be invited.
Won't be a prince anymore or something.
He won't be a prince,
or whatever.
He won't be invited to public family events anymore.
Right.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, no,
you know?
Yeah, see, terrible things happened.
Stuff,
we got
you know?
terrible consequences.
Oh my God, what consequences? The humanity. Right? And then so it's like, so that's the message of, don't worry, even if you somehow we'll release a lot of this, or like the JFK files, we'll release a lot of the shit, and it won't make one fucking iota of difference.
No, and that's like, if you can kind of ensure that, that's very useful then.
Yeah. And the people who I know that are in finance, that are well off, like very well off, and quote unquote knowledgeable, like they are totally clueless about the shit. And it's like, oh, well, what are your thoughts on the Epstein revelations? And they're like, oh, I haven't really heard anything.
Oh Lord.
And it's like, or I had a friend, who's in finance, and he was like, whoa, whatever. They released those JFK files and they didn't reveal anything. And I'm like, what? but because that's the media they go to.
Well, meaning nothing happened in my life.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Like I still went to my job and still paid my normal taxes and ate like dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
The normal thing, the status quo kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. So the message is, it's all right. It's all out there. Now you all know about it and nothing has happened to us. So good luck.
Yeah.
Or with the scientists thing that are dead or missing, which I think that witness protection program thing, I didn't think about that, but that could make a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, they're factory resetting their phones and then leaving their house with like a handgun or something, like, yeah, something's up.
No, that's a really interesting take on it. I have to think about that more, but that could totally be part of it. But also the message would also be that if you happen to work in these fields and have access to information that we deem important, that we don't want that, and if you choose disloyalty over loyalty, then this is what happens to you. This is like a public hanging. We made a public example of you for, this is what will, curiosity killed the cat, kind of thing. And we will kill you. And
we will kill you.
And we will kill you. like Karp said at that investor call for Palantir. And he's like, yes, we'll do this. And anyone who wants to disrupt, we will take care of them. And sometimes we will kill them.
Right.
And then
protecting shareholder value.
Yeah.
Like, awesome.
I know.
Finally.
I know.
Finally. Now that's a company I want to invest in, They're like just like out in the open with
out in the open. Like, it's like, oh my God. I mean, him and Peter Thiel, it just seems like a joke that they're playing on us.
Yeah.
Right?
Kind of, yeah.
Like, it's like, like Peter Thiel was asked, you saw that interview, I'm sure, where it's like, so do you think that humanity should continue? And he was like,
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. It's like, that's just say it simply yes.
Yeah.
Like, just say it simply yes.
I mean, my follow-up question would be, which one of those options makes my stock price go up? So which one and that's my answer. So whichever one, either one is fine. Trying to do some math in my mind.
Right. Just give me a minute to do some quick math in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a joke,
Can we kill just the short sellers? Only just
only the short sellers.
Oh gosh. Well, awesome talking with you as always. I'll talk to you next time. I'll post this later on today, and that's all I got.
Awesome, man.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right, later, buddy.
Okay, bye.